This is the Dzogchen Sende Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For multiple decades, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. It is Qui-Gon Jinn, early Tuesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. After reviewing PTSD and Walking Meditation. Survivors of war, domestic abuse, child abuse, and trauma, garden variety trauma, are subject to PTSD. But what is PTSD? PTSD is the experience of the past as the present. It is a psychological symptom of a physiological disorder. An excellent book on the topic is Walking Your Blues Away by the psychologist Dr. Tom Hartman, PhD. He describes the primary culprit of PTSD, no less its complex sibling, CPTSD, as the hippocampus. Which acts a bit like a doorman behind the velvet rope, clutching a clipboard. And despite your beauty or your popularity or the money in your pocket, if your name ain't on the clipboard, you ain't getting in. Our hippocampus could be considered the gateway to long-term memory. Any experience that has passed through the gates of the hippocampus is regarded physiologically and viscerally and emotionally as a memory. Any event that has yet to be processed by the hippocampus is treated by your viscera and your emotions as the present moment. That is why when someone is suffering from a variation of PTSD, and they have a flashback, it is not a memory, distant and dim and faded. It is a replay of a present moment experience. They are not remembering the place and time of the trauma, they are reliving it in the present moment, as verified by fMRI studies, functional magnetic resonance imaging. No amount of coercion or self-talk will change this. The question remains, how do we coax our reluctant hippocampus to process these remarkably difficult experiences? If you wish to soothe the hippocampus, I invite you to enter the magic of relaxed, strolling meditation. I do not call it walking meditation because, as a resident of Southern California, it can be tempting to turn it into an exercise. So we do not wish to make the mistake of taking slow steps wherein we concentrate on the mechanics of walking. For that is the trap of patriarchy, wherein we overfocus and so exhaust our medial prefrontal cortex that we further trigger our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression, and nobody needs more of that. So instead of taking mincing steps or concentrating our steps, we just stroll naturally, letting our body viscerally and intuitively dictate the speed of our gait. Let's discuss a very important safety tip. When we are in turmoil, banalities such as looking both ways before crossing the street or waiting for the light to turn color may feel like impossibilities. I therefore recommend that in times of turmoil, we limit ourselves to walking around the block over and over again. As the time passes, maybe 20 minutes, maybe 40, maybe 60. However long it takes to get a hand on the present moment experience. Our goal is not to make it go away. Our goal is to passively cooperate with our central nervous system in a distinctly therapeutic manner. If you're as old as me, you may remember Crocodile Dundee from the late 80s. He talked about, after his heart-rending divorce, going on a walkabout. So the use of walking meditation to process difficult emotions is an ancient remedy, ancient even in the time of the Buddha. Depending upon your gender, the time of day, and where you live, walking outside, even around your block, could feel unsafe. If that describes you, then I implore you to invest in a treadmill, one that is designed, one whose structure will make the natural swinging of the arms by your side a possibility. In the image above, I would be surprised if my arms could swing freely in the presence of those guardrails. So that's something to consider before acquiring a treadmill. And of course, acquire one from an institution that has a generous return policy, because you don't want to settle. You want to find a piece of equipment that you can live with and thrive with. Of course, the distinct danger we face in performing walking meditation on a treadmill is that our feline overlords might judge us. But aren't they always? Allow me to remind you of what you already know. When strolling, we walk naturally, asymmetrically, as we step forward with our left foot. Our right hand naturally swings forward as a counterweight. As we step forward with our right foot, our left hand swings forward as a counterweight. This is natural and does not need to be forced. But it's important because asymmetry functions to massage the mechanisms in the bottom of our brain, helping them to accelerate the rate at which they process what's going on. I, like many adults who have endured a lifetime with ADHD or autism or both, have accrued quite a collection of traumas. And I have a very difficult time, typically in holiday season, which is not unique. Many people do. And walking meditation helps me cope a great deal. It doesn't rewrite the past. It doesn't edit the past. It does not delete the past. But it helps me to process deeply turbulent, present moments, experiences. We can turbocharge our strolling meditation by playing with the one-syllable contemplative notation that I will explore in greater detail momentarily. Needless to say, we'll play with one style during the first half of our walking meditation and a second style and a different style during the second half of our walking meditation. And we don't need to be fastidious about this. Even if we simply conclude our walking meditation with this second method, that is sufficient. Let us consider the chore that every adult understands: the dishes. Before we put a delicious serving of the meal we cooked upon a plate or within a bowl, we'll want to make sure that plate or bowl is washed and dried beforehand, won't we? That is the purpose behind mindfulness and meditation of clarity and letting go. It helps us to process all that we have found to be dreadful, be they sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, or the like, including the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. All of them. From the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the convenient to the arduous, from the glorious to the grotesque. Ironically, it helps us to deal with it vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. As a preliminary practice, let us gently invite our real or imagined subtle energy to coalesce at the crown of our head. The easiest way to do that is to simply use the tip of your left index finger to support the lower knuckle of your right index finger, palms up in your lap. Let us not make the mistake of, let us not make patriarchy's mistake of actively focusing on our breath or its play with our nostrils. Active focusing can so fatigue our medial prefrontal cortex that it triggers our amygdala the seat of anxiety and aggression. How do we do that? We treat our nose and our breath the way a piano student treats the sound of the metronome. They don't actively focus on it. Why not? They're too busy actively focusing on the sheet music and the keyboard. How then do they regard the sound of the metronome? They do so, they hold it in passive peripheral awareness. Hello. If you whatever questions you might have about the philosophies or techniques that support meditation, this is an ideal time to ask. As we passively notice air enter our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb watch. Doing so helps us to passively cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system. As we passively notice air exiting our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb rest. Doing so helps us to passively cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system. This is the key to the union of awareness and letting go. Remember, the moment you have a specific question about the philosophies or techniques that support meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Before I tend to check for questions about once every 13 minutes or so. Welcome aboard. When you have a question about the philosophies and techniques that support meditation, type them or ask them, and I will happily entertain them. Let us keep track of our first 12 inhalations. Every time we silently and mentally recite the verb watch as we breathe in, let us advance our right thumb across the sets of creases appearing upon the underside of each of our fingers. We do this with our right hand. Normally our hands are in our laps, palms up. I'm just lifting them up so you can see what's going on with greater clarity. It takes about a minute to collect 12 inhalations. You probably wish to meditate longer than a minute. So to keep track of our next 12 sets of 12 inhalations, we can advance the tip of our left thumb, beginning by placing it upon the lower set of creases on our left little finger. In preparation for our practice of mindfulness and meditation, of bliss and letting go, allow me to rephrase that. We are going to, just as we used the mindfulness and meditation of clarity and letting go, to deal with that which we found dreadful, we're going to use bliss and letting go to deal with that which we desire. Good, bad, or indifferent. Whether these are sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, or the like. Whether these are emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, or imaginings. Whether this pertains to the circumstantial, the physical, the interpersonal, or the mental. We're simply going to feel and rest. In preparation, let us gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in our chest. Doing so is as easy as switching out our fingers. And instead of using our left index finger, using the tip of our left middle finger to support the lower knuckle of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. This is also an excellent way to keep track of our second collection of 13 sets of 12 inhalations each. As we passively feel our chest swell with breath, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb feel, that we might passively cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system. That vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly perceives. As we feel our chest subtly sink, as gently we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb rest, that we might passively cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system that helps us to physically relax and mentally release that which we felt during our previous inhalation, as if it was fleetingly less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and less solid, at least for a moment, at least a little bit, until the next inhalation and the cycle begins afresh. Remember, the moment you have a specific question about the philosophies or techniques that support meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. For I tend to check for questions about once every 13 minutes or so. We now change gears, or shift gears, and what we're going to do is take all that energy of self-centered desire and transform it into universal love. By practicing the union of love and letting go. About 500 years ago, Leonardo da Vinci insisted that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Approximately 21 centuries before that, the Buddha taught that all that we could experience fits neatly into one of four categories: the mental, the interpersonal, the physical, and the circumstantial. Let us turn our attention, let us turn our love, let us turn our wisdom to the mental. Mental kindness constitutes the second fold of the Buddha's eightfold path of enlightenment. Please chant with me. If you are participating on the clock app, you may wish to join me here on the Tube app so you can see the text from which we are chanting. May each being's experience of the mental now be as peacefully wise as the mind of an archetypical Buddha symbolized by a bija seed syllable. So here's the trick to the Mahamudra of love and letting go. Number 1, as we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the 6-syllable synopsis, bija-wise for all minds. As we breathe out, we physically relax as best we can, while chanting the 10-syllable mantra 3 times per breath, for a total of 8 breaths. Om Tare Nare Nure Suwa, 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 Om Tare Nare Nure Suwa. No, Virginia, our job is not to visualize or emote or intend or reason. Our job is simple. We silently and mentally we recite the wishing, the loving wish. Physically, we relax as best we can as we chant the mantra. It is just that simple. Om Tare Nare Nure Suwa, 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 Om Tare Nare Dani Nure Sawa, Om Dani Nudani Nure Sawa, Om Dani Nudani Nure Sawa. Interpersonal kindness constitutes the third fold of the Buddha's eightfold path of enlightenment. Together, may each being's experience of the interpersonal be as joyfully loving as the speech of an archetypical Buddha symbolized by a mantra. Why are we using similes? Because humans have evolved to think symbolically. The six-syllable synopsis is mantra love for all speech. Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa, 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 Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa. Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa, Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa, Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa. Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa, Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa, Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa. Just as we would wash and dry a bowl before putting in some lunch, similarly, first we transform our dreads into the wisdom of letting go, then we transform our desires into universal love. Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa, 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 Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa. Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa, 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 Om Dhani Nunani Nuri Sawa. Physical kindness constitutes the fourth fold of the Buddha's eightfold path of enlightenment. Together, may each being's experience of the physical now be as healthy as a form of an archetypical Buddha symbolized by a yidam. So, let us not be superstitious. These are similes. A simile is not based upon rigidity and faith. You don't need to believe in the DC comic book character The Flash to sincerely use the simile, George runs as fast as the Flash. Or, Xena warrior princess is as strong as Superman. That's the beautiful thing about similes. Our six-syllable synopsis reads, Yidam health for all forms. We're wishing that the bodies of all beings everywhere be lavished with optimal health. It's easy to wish this when we find a news source that can show us the various genocides occurring right now in this moment around the globe. There is no us and them. There is no we and them. There's only a collective all. We are all siblings of Earth's family. Whether we are American or not, whether we are human or not. Love is antithetical to the zero-sum game. The Dalai Lama teaches that the more we wish good things for others, the more our good karma multiplies, thus increasing our ability to benefit others. It's like a magic bag of holding that is never emptied. Om Tariru Nariru Resuwa, 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 Om Tariru Nariru Resuwa. Om Tariru Nariru Resuwa, 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 Om Tariru Nariru Resuwa. We practice. The easiest way to practice love is to silently and mentally recite the 6-syllable synopsis as we breathe in. The easiest way to practice letting go is to physically relax as best we can as we chant the 10-syllable mantra. Om Tariru Nariru Resuwa, 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 Om Tariru Nariru Resuwa. A foolish scholar told me to whisper my mantras at breakneck pace so I could get on to the next meditation. A wise yogi said, the mantra is the meditation if you do it right. We come to the final quarter of love and letting go. Circumstantial kindness constitutes the 5th fold of the Buddha's 8-fold path of enlightenment. Remember, there are only 4 bases of mindfulness. Together. May each being's experience of the circumstantial now be as fortunate as the lot of an octuple Buddha symbolized by a paradise pure land of bounty. the practice of love and letting go is as simple as follows. The key to love is to silently and mentally recite Vati Bun for all lots during our inhalation. The key to letting go is as follows. We physically relax as best we can as we chant the 10-syllable mantra 3 times per breath for a total of 12 breaths. Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa. Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa. Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa. Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa. Minions of patriarchy, card-carrying members of institutional Buddhism, praise the rigidity of faith and certitude. However, those acolytes of matriarchy, the minority who embrace proto-Buddhism, remind us that to let go of rigidity and instead be flexible. To let go of our controlling tendencies and instead be laid back. It is enough to desire universal well-being and then relax. Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa. Is all we to do is are we to only love and release? No. The more we practice love and letting go, the more our choices and utterances and deeds flow, not from contrived not from contrivance, not from scatteredness, but instead from love's deeply centered spontaneity. This is the key to taking skillful actions without getting lost in folly or over-planning. Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa. Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa. Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa, Om Tare Nuna Nure Sawa. Om Tani nu nani nu re so wa. 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 Having sat for the better part of an hour, we might find it refreshing to chant a quick review of bodhicitta and refuge, and then practice Buddha bowing as a type of spiritual squat thrust. Think of a kitty cat. Sometimes they sit very still with their eyes closed, other times they have zoomies. This is going to be our version of zoomies. Together. In our compassion may we long to free all beings from the toxic tyranny of dread, desire, and delusion, metaphorically known as the three mental poisons. In our pragmatism may all liberation of all others be fueled by our mastery of the three wish-fulfilling jewels of following the Buddha's example, applying his instructions, and cooperating with his students. The 8-syllable synopsis of that which we just chanted reads, "May we free all through the three jewels." So if you wish to practice with me, that's fine. I'm going to swing the camera around, kind of like square dancing. Is there anything wider than that? My goodness. You know, Henry Ford promoted square dancing in school because he was terrified of losing white culture. Oy vey. There's probably a reason why good old Adolf had a autographed photo of Henry Ford. Okay, here we go. Way all the way up. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Woof. May we pray all through the three jewels. May we pray all through the three jewels. May we pray all through the 3 jewels. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's dusk practice of Meditate Like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.